All right, so we're going to cover how to find a noun stem. And for more information and practice, use this book, the Alutiiq Language Sugt'stun Lessons book by Connect. This book is pretty old, and I don't think it's been revised and reprinted. So it has some different things. Like you'll see this E is underlined. It's from the older orthography. But you can find this book at the Alutiiq Museum. This is my copy scanned in. You can see my name's written there. And I will probably share this with the class on our Blackboard shell. But they will go into this lesson in greater detail, and they have some practice after the lesson. So to get started, we look at their example dictionary entry. This is not what our dictionary looks like. Our dictionary has the Alutiiq word and the English word. It doesn't tell you if it's a noun, and it doesn't tell you the stem, which is why we have to find the stem. One cool thing that Alutiiq does is it uses the stems as the base for communication, and then you add all these things to the stem. And you can actually make a noun into a verb just by adding a postbase and an ending. Or you can leave it as a noun by adding a postbase and make it so much more descriptive of a noun. So we want to talk about how to figure out what the stem is so that we can accurately add our postbases. So we'll just look at a couple examples here. Chaluk ends in a Q, the stem ends in an R. Chinak, the noun ends in a Q, the stem ends in an R. So these are pretty much how it is. The stem is directly related to the last letter of the noun as it appears in the dictionary. So for things ending in Q, their stem will end in R. For things ending in K, their stem will end in G. For things ending TA, like buchta, their stem will end in E, TE. For things ending in N, their stem will end in TE. Now, if a stem ends in an A, those are less predictable. Sometimes the stems end in A, and sometimes the stems end in E. But what's nice is that because they are less predictable, they are usually given to us in the dictionary. So if you can find it in the dictionary and it's irregular, it will probably tell you what the stem is. So now let's talk about postbases. There are three kinds of postbases. The plus ones, plus postbases, attach themselves directly to the stems. Occasionally, an E or a G will be dropped. Minus postbases cause consonants at the end of a stem to fall off before adding the postbase. And we have examples of these and how they work on the next slide. So I'm just telling you what these are. And then assimilating postbases mean that the first letter of the postbase will be a K in most cases. But it can be a Q if the stem ends in an R. And there's this, I wanted to go over the little guy at the bottom here. This is usually how you see the postbases written. You'll have the plus or minus or the little tilde that tells you it's assimilating. And then if you have parentheses, these are only added when the root ends in a vowel. So if anything in the parentheses are only added if the root ends in a vowel. And then here's the postbase, and then it must be finished out. Like if this is a dash, then that means that it's a verb and it needs an ending. If it were just to be plus our piak and there were no dash, that would mean it was a noun and that it didn't need an ending. So here are some examples. The postbase ku means later on this noun, next noun, or this coming noun, and we use it with unuk. Unuk's stem is unuk because that's a G, and this is an assimilating postbase that is going to stay as a K. The only time it would change to a Q is if the stem of the word ended in an R. Li is a minus postbase, so it means to make or prepare. We're going to add it to the stem piruk, and piruk stem ends in a G. Because this is a minus postbase, minus postbases take away the consonant from the stem, so it's piruliyugut. Piruliyugut. It's not piruhliyugut because that consonant was dropped. Okay, the next two are also minus postbases. Ungjuk is a little small or a little bit of a, and we're going to add it to yamak. Yamak ends in a Q, so its stem ends in an R, but that last consonant gets dropped because it's a minus postbase, so it would be yamangjuk. Yamangjuk. If we look at chwak, chwak is a minus postbase, and it means to be fake or not really, kind of a. So we're going to add it to tunduk, which ends in a Q, so its stem ends in an R, and that is going to be tunduhwak. And then we get into the plus postbases. So the last two are plus postbases, which means that they keep, let's see, it attaches itself directly to the stem. This one has that piak ending that that I was using. So the R is in case the stem of the noun does not end in a consonant. So if the stem ends in a vowel, we have to add that R. If it ends in a consonant, we don't add the R, we just keep the consonant because this is a plus postbase, so it just gets added on to the end. Piak means real, true, or genuine, and we're going to add it to suk, which means person. Suk ends in a K, and its stem ends in G. Alright, and then that turns into sukhbat. Or it can be sukhbyak, this is plural. The last one is chunit, and that means to smell like. That's a plus postbase. We're going to use ikahluk, and that stem ends in a G. So it's going to be ikahluk junidok. Ikahluk junidok. Oh, I'm reading that wrong. Ikahluk junituji. Which means you all smell like fish. On that note, that's it.